Good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm WSAZ's Kimberly Kagi. Thanks so much for stopping by here at the WSAZ Plus studios to get a check on some of those headlines and the big stories that we are following today. One of them a bit active at the moment. Of course, we know there's been a lot of work near Hurricane High School. And so today they're making quite the amount of progress on the upgrades that are being done at the sports facilities. And so I want to go ahead and bring in Abby Lord for us. She is with us this morning. I was going to say this afternoon. The brain's got me all in a tizzy. You know how it is. So Abby, thanks for joining us this morning. Talk about what we're seeing, because you see that heavy machinery behind you. It's pretty noisy where you're at also.
Yeah, Kimberly, good morning to you. It is super loud. You can hear the crunch of the press box behind me coming down and being demolished. I'm going to step out of the way here just so you can kind of see. If you have ever been to this facility before and you're used to the big structure, it was a multi-layer structure here. Well, all that's left right now is just the concession stand part. Crews have been out here since 8 a.m. this morning just working on demolishing this press box here behind me. Now, what crews are doing, now they're making this come down with precision. Every single hit that this excavator or these crews are doing, they're putting them in separate piles. Trash goes here, the roof goes here, wires go there. It is all very much with precision. Now, this is coming after Putnam County Schools passed a bond levy a couple years ago. One of those things on that bond levy was athletic facility upgrades. Now, what Hurricane High is doing is they are doing the new bleachers, the press box, and as well as stadium lights around the stadium. So that Friday night lights feeling, you'll be able to get that even better. Now, I spoke with many people here, the athletic director, the principal, and they said that it is going to be an improvement for spectators as well as athletes. And I even spoke to an athlete who said running out here was great before, but he can't wait to run out here with comfortable seating as well as a new press box and the lights for that very, as I said earlier, Friday night lights feeling. So yeah, Kimberly, this is what's going on here. I mean, it's just been absolutely crazy. You can just, as you see here, I mean, the I don't know if you can, I can't really see,
yeah,
but
we can see behind
they
you.
are playing with that crunch. Fantastic. You can hear that crunch of them putting away the top of the roof. That is the roof, is what they're putting away right now. That was the roof.
Abby,
So putting it into the trash and whatnot. But yeah, no, it's
You
Go
said
ahead.
the progress started early this morning, so they've been at work for several hours, but they've really been able to tackle a large amount of it in a short time span.
Yeah, no, it's been absolutely crazy to watch. I mean, Teen Mom came here earlier just to see it in video, the progress, and she said like this has been wild. It was something that she mentioned as she saw in videos that the Hurricane Mayor posted on Facebook was how easy they glided through those concrete blocks. It was as easy as, it was like knocking over a feather is how she described it, and just how wild this experience and just seeing it come down. I mean, this is an iconic piece of Hurricane High history here, just being knocked down, and as those athletic directors said, to just hopefully improve that experience. But yeah, so over here to my left, I don't know if it's your right. Lefts and rights are very hard. Kimberly, you totally. I mean, woo. But they're drilling over there as well as excavating over here. But yeah, those bleachers behind me will be, the principal did say in a couple weeks those will be demolished here as well.
Abby, as far as the timeline for this project, can you talk a little bit about when people will kind of see some progress? Obviously, today is that first step in demolition, so it's going to take a little bit, but give us some more details about what we can expect. Friday Night Lights in our community is huge. Everybody has usually spends their weeks and even some nights at the football field. Doesn't matter what sport you have, you probably have some type of family member that's always there. So give us some details about the project and what we can expect to see in the future.
Yeah, so So the timeline, the principal told me that they're hoping to get this done before the start of football season, which is looking about August to September timeline. So even then, the community could even come and enjoy it as well. I know the athletic director talked to me, and he said that they don't really have plans right now for giving out pieces of the history of this iconic structure here behind me. But that's they're still working on seeing what that will look like, but they don't have any plans for that right now, because he told me a lot of calls have been coming in about that as well. But yeah, so the start of August is kind of the plan of what it looks like right now.
Really
but we do have reached out on. Yes, way to start, the new year. I talked to a senior, and he said, just running out my final year with all this new stuff and lights, and running out of that tunnel will be extra special this year, especially with something new that will help not just him, but generations going forward. And then as well, the athletic director also told me that I actually reached out to the athletic director and the principal about what those press boxes will look like. Now, we have not heard on what the modernization will look like at this time.
We know it's just part one of an upgrade that's going to see likely a couple of other things also improve in the area. Abby, we appreciate you joining us here on WSAZ Plus. We're going to let you get back to work because that press box is coming down pretty quickly. So thank you very much. You heard Abby mention there that press box is being demoed, and they started about 8 this morning. So that is they've already made a lot of progress in just a couple of hours. As you can tell, that central part of the press box still undergoing. So some of the other stories that we are following this morning for you. This one out of Wyoming County. And so you may remember it. It might sound a little familiar here because we've had to deal with several instances in our region just this winter regarding transformer oil leaking out of substations from Appalachian Power. We had several in our region. So I want to go ahead and pull up some information so we can tell you about kind of what we heard and what we learned yesterday. So we know that oil from the Wyoming County substation that leaked, it has eventually made its way downstream into the Guyandotte River and into R.D. Bailey Lake. That's over in Mingo County. Crews are now working to contain that. Now, initially, this happened back on January 30th, and they said the West Virginia DEP says the majority was contained in that Wyoming County, but the oil did move after increased stream flow as well as snow melting. So they said that made it really challenging in this case in particular. The DEP telling us they're unaware of any impacts to drinking water, but people in Mingo County, we were at a meeting last night, said they already have quite a bit of trouble trusting water quality. So when they heard about this being an added layer, it made it really difficult for a lot of people last night. And so the Department of Health says that they did not find any mineral oil at the plant in Gilbert. And after the recent issues, though, remember, this all started in early January when we heard about a transformer oil leaking into a nearby waterway in Wayne County, West Virginia. And then it was just about a week or so after, and that's when we heard about the second one happening in Wyoming County. So we are still seeing a bit of those after effects as they are working to contain and clean up the mineral oil as it's moved downstream into the Guyandotte River and R&D Bailey Lake. Now, we can tell you that lake, they told us that they are not going to allow anybody to be able to use those boat ramps in the area. So those are closed in the meantime as they are trying to get things under control. And so that's been a really big concern for a lot of people because we had one instance, and then to hear that it happened in a second county, that puts some people on high alert. And so when we heard the news yesterday from the West Virginia Department of Environmental Protection that those efforts were still ongoing, we actually heard from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. We were told that they were the ones that told us that that mineral oil had moved downstream. So that is a story that we're likely going to see, we're going to keep following over the next couple of days because it's going to take a lot. Now, there is some concern with that additional rainfall, right? We know it's going to be very rainy this week. So there is a concern that if we don't get that contained, could it move further downstream? And so we'll likely have to see. That's some of those questions that we're still working to get answers to. And I can tell you our team is really trying to get as much information because we know a lot of people want to hear about this. When there is a concern about water quality, it is very scary for a lot of people and for those families who rely on that area, whether you use it for recreation, whether they pull that water into the plant for water distribution, you just never know. So those are some of the questions that we're still working to get answers to. Also, another big story that we are following this morning, this one, and I'm going to pull up the information for you. So this happened in Barber County, West Virginia. You see the man here, James Clark. He says he works for Child Protective Services. He was arrested and accused for driving impaired while he had a 2-year-old in his back seat. And we heard about this from the Barber County Sheriff's Office, who say that James Clark is charged with child neglect, creating the risk of injury, and driving under the influence with a minor. Now, deputies say they saw him swerve into traffic and nearly hit another car. When officers pulled him over, deputies noticed Clark had slurred speech and a toddler in the back seat. Now, deputies tell us Clark failed a field sobriety test, but he did blew a 0 on the preliminary breathalyzer test. Now, he denied being under the influence. We're told from deputies saying he'd only taken his regular daily medication. Clark allegedly told deputies that he was transporting the child to her mother as part of his CPS duties. So we reached out to the West Virginia Department of Human Services, and they told us, they said, while he's not an official state employee, he is a contractor for that agency. So, that was another big story that we had heard of yesterday, and one that we're also following here. Let's go ahead and see if we can pull up that Lotto cam because you may have heard Dylan mention this morning. We're likely going to see a lot of rain this week. Check out, this is Logan. And while it appears to be dry there, we're not going to have too many dry hours as we are kind of progressing through the week. We know it's experiencing or expected to be very soggy. You may have checked the forecast and you see the rain on a lot of the 7-day, but we have to get through that before we can get to the weekend. The weekend is where we start to see those temperatures really taper off, the rain taper off, and those temperatures get much warmer. We're looking at temps into the 80s even on Saturday. And so Dylan mentioned this morning, we will likely see a few storms move through the region, but it's kind of which one do you want, the rain or the warmer temperatures? You're going to kind of have to sift through to enjoy both. So, the good news is when we do have this rain, we know that spring fire season has started in the state of West Virginia. So there are some burning restrictions in place. And unfortunately for us, the good news is because it's going to be so wet this week, that really helps prevent for brush fires from sparking, wildfires from sparking in the area. So that really helps pull back that concern that we start to see in the springtime. If you do have questions about, different burning restrictions that are in place for your state, we have that information listed for you on WSAZ.com. But I wanted to give you one other bit, and let's end on a good note, right? I always love to bring a little bit of positivity to some of the big stories that we're following. And so this one, if you need a place to eat this week, it is Restaurant Week in Huntington. It's very exciting here. We always loved this week. You may have seen it on Studio 3 yesterday. Marley Pinchot giving us a preview of what Buddy's Barbecue was on Monday. So on your screen there, these are all different restaurants that are participating in what's called Huntington's Restaurant Week. And so when we're talking about that, not only can you give a great bite to eat, you can support local business, but you're also helping to support first responders within the city of Huntington, the police and fire department. The money that they raise, the proceeds that they raise this week, help go towards their Compass program, and that helps first responders de-stress. Think about the types of situations that they're responding to. Often high intensity, a situation where maybe they don't know all the details, or they get a call, right? It makes your adrenaline run, and when your adrenaline runs, you start to feel it. So that stress can intensify as well. And so Huntington Restaurant Week really is a great resource. So if you are looking for a place to eat, the program that they are supporting, the Huntington Compass program, that really helps first responders kind of de-escalate, de-stress from the calls that they are used to going to and some of those high stress situations. So Tuesday, March 3rd, that's today, is Market Day, meaning you can stop at any of the restaurants inside the market and be able to support those programs. So certainly if you need a place to eat, maybe you want to get out of cooking dinner or you need some lunch plans. Hey, take a couple friends from the office, go down and visit them. That would certainly be a great way to help support those programs. So we certainly appreciate you joining us here on WSAZ Plus for a look at some of the headlines, the big stories that we're following, as well as, you saw the demolition from Hurricane High School at the press box. So Abby will have a bit of an update for us at 5 and 6 o'clock tonight to give us a little preview of kind of when we may start to see those changes and really a look at the demolition that they've already been able to do. What else is in that project? So that is something that we will have for us coming up tonight. We appreciate you joining us here for WSAZ Plus. I hope you guys have a great Tuesday.